Alright guys, new day, new tutorial. So in the last part we made this. Uh, we textured it, and if you haven't seen the last part, I recommend you go watch it now. So now we will finish the scene and be done with it because it has been a long time. I had to halt these videos because I had to complete my own project. I had so much work left when I was making these videos, so I just had to get up and get those done. But today we are back and we will finish what we started. So this window and this pillar is done. Alright, we don't have to do anything to them now, but what we do have to do is make a building, right? Because we didn't do that. Okay, so we'll start with a cube. Okay, obviously, but what I will do is I will just shift its origin to at this point, because then I could just scale it up and not worry about having to shift it or anything else. Okay, so I went into edit mode and now I'm gonna press G, Z, and holding control I will just drag up and it will uh, uh, shift it upwards by 1 meter, and same for the y-axis and same for the x-axis, right? So you can see the origin has come right onto this point, and now if I go back to object mode I can just scale it up and it will only scale up in as you can see, right, it won't go anywhere in the negative x-axis or negative or this y-axis, right? So that's good. And now I just have to place my cube right around here. I'll just scale it up and see what's going on, and I'll just move it a bit backwards until I find a good spot for this moss texture right here. So this one a little bit too much here and a little bit too less here, so I'll just keep it in the middle. Alright, now I'll just position it, and that looks good. Okay, so I'm just gonna scale it on the x-axis now. First maybe I should set up my camera, right? Yes, so I'm going to set up my camera right around here. I'll just control alt 0 and it will snap my camera where I'm looking at. Okay, alright, I'll just I think I'll just decrease the focal length a bit and raise it upwards, and I guess that's good. Okay, now don't worry about the windows, we'll fix it up later. Okay, for now we have to apply an array modifier, okay, like that, right? So I'm just gonna delete okay, I guess. Okay, I'm just going to delete those and add one edge split modifier. Okay, because it was shaded smooth, right? If you just shade it flat it would be okay, but that works too. But you would be able to see this cut or seam on in the mesh, right? So I'll just shade it smooth and add a edge split modifier, and it will fix both our problems and we're good to go. Now I'll add one array modifier, and you can see it had doubled this mesh, and it will keep increasing those in an array like structure, right? So that's what we want because the building's repetitive, but we don't want them so close to each other. So if you just increase this offset, this one is for x-axis, this one is for y-axis and for z-axis, so keep that in mind. And first we'll have to do the pillar as well. I'll just delete this, I'll add one back for you, and I'll just set it up as it would be on this side, so a little bit more. There we go. So to match this one we have to pull this one back. So I'll just decrease the offset, and there we go. I think that looks good. And if I increase my pillars, you can see that it mismatches this pillar right here, and it will continue to increase that gap because it's math. you know I'll just set up how many I want. I think in my render I did 14. Alright, so that's good. Set up my building. Okay, and I'll just set it to 14 as well. Oh sorry, it's gotta be 15 because one on this side too. Okay, now to, as you can see, it increases the gaps to somewhere where it is ridiculously too far. So we'll just edit that, adjust that from this offset, and I think that looks good. Alright, okay, now for the problem that we face, which hides our window. Okay, now if you could just go into edit mode and add some loop cuts, right, and just push it in, right, but as you can see, it creates an artifact here, and it's really a not very good solution for this kind of problem. So what we do in these situations, we use something called Boolean modifier or Booleans. Okay, so what this will do, I'll just hide this so you can see better. I'll add one more cube, right? Okay, let me just, oh sorry, gotta do this in edit mode. I'll just scale it up and scale it up a bit, roughly in the shape of this window, and then I'll add one Boolean modifier, and in the object I'll select the cube that we just made. And if I just hide this cube now, oh sorry, hide this, and I'll just view it as a wireframe. Okay, now if I just move this a bit, okay, you can see what is happening, right? Wherever this cube is, it's creating a how should I, what is it, a dent maybe, okay, it's creating this kind of depth that you would find on walls, right, in the shape of exact shape of this cube. So if I just go into edit mode and start shifting the edges around, you can see that it just follows the cube that we made. Alright, so we will use these cubes to create holes in our building for the windows, right? Okay, so if I just, because now if you move your window, you can just move this cube and everything will be cool. I'll just scale it down to x-axis and for y-axis, sorry, z-axis. And okay, so here we can just, what we can do is just go into edit mode and add a loop cut and just raise it upwards and then bevel it a few times, make it roughly in the shape of our window, right? Okay, so we'll have to keep our window to see how we're doing. Okay, this is the most common problem with Blender, right? It's unstable sometimes. I guess all of the softwares are. If I just raise it up a bit more and now bevel it, I can see that it does a really nice job. And now I think we are done, and you can see it added a really nice room kind of thing. You can just you can uh, send it back a bit more and it will act like a room. You can also apply a room texture on this some right, and it will be cool like it's an actual room, so that's good. Now what you can do is use an array modifier anyway and just set the offset right. Okay, I'm gonna create 14 of this and I'm just gonna adjust the offset at the right place. And now that I've done that, I'll just apply this array modifier, and oh, look at that. It works. Alright. That's good. And I'm gonna bring back the pillars, and that looks cool. Now I have to raise it up because it's not a ground floor building, it's a 2-story building. Is ground counted as a story? I don't know. You get my point, right? Okay, now for the windows that are above this one, just duplicate this and you should have windows. And now I think that the building should be higher. Okay, alright. Now for these windows we don't need this pedestal kind of thing, so I'm gonna go into edit mode and I'm gonna hit L, and that becomes handy because we created a separate cube in the edit of this. So now if you select L, it will select the linked object, otherwise it would have selected this whole window if we would have done created it by extruding. Okay, so that's good, and I'm gonna select all of the things that we are going to delete by clicking L, and I'm gonna delete faces. Okay, it looks cool. Now I'm also going to duplicate the pillars and I'm gonna send them in just a bit. Okay, that looks cool, right? Now same for the booleans, right? Now I'm just gonna select only this one and raise it up, raise up those, and I'm gonna just make it its own object. Alright, so I could just that's my bad, but that doesn't take any time, and we can see that we messed up our pillars. And not our pillars exactly, but our windows actually. Alright, that looks good, but still it doesn't take any time to add this modifier, right? And okay, alright, now I'm gonna add another boolean modifier, and I'm gonna select this cube this time. So now we are nearly done with the building. What we just have to do is make the rooftop. So I'll just make that by hitting I, and it will inset this face, and just I'll just size it in the x-axis to make it even, and then I'm gonna scale it all down. Alright, now if I just raise it up a bit and extrude it up and then scale it down, like that. Alright, and this is going to be the roof, so it will have its own separate texture. But don't worry, you don't have to do all that complex textures this time. Just a simple roof textures would do. So while I'm at it, I'll just add two textures, and I'm gonna hit assign to this one, and everything else I select by Control I and add to this one. Okay, that's good. Alright, next I will have to add some loop cuts to this building because it will have some ledges, and there we go. Just hit Control R, and we'll add some loop cuts. I like to add one big loop cut first and then extrude it and then edit it later. So now I'll add another loop cut, and I'll just scale it down. I think I should extrude it down. Like so. Alright. Okay, we're getting there. Alright, at this point doesn't matter. I'm gonna add another ledge. And then we are done. Like that. At this point our buildings has started to look good. Alright, I'm gonna make it a sun lamp so we can see better. Alright, there you go. I'm gonna assign different textures to these ledges. Alright, now for the textures, these walls will have same texture, which will be this one. We added another for the roof, and for these ones what we need is I think there are two types of cement textures for this and this area, and another one for this area right here, and I think I should have a gold texture here. It's really up to you how you do it. Essentially what you have to do is just go to textures.com, or I think it was called CG textures a while back. Okay, now you will have some concrete textures, right? These walls, like, right, nice good textures right here, a lot of textures. You can just hover them and choose what you want, right? If I just type here bricks, it will give me really nice textures for bricks, right? But we just don't want any bricks. We want bricks like this. right? What I do is I used Quixel Bridge, so I will be right back after I finish the building.